Hello and welcome to the Hard Questions. I'm Serwanjja. On this episode, I host the Foreign Affairs Minister in charge of International Affairs. That is the Honorable Okello Oryem. The Honorable Okello Oryem, thank you so much.
Pleasure, Solomon. Nice to be back here.
Well, I'm happy to be back as well. Since you took office in 2005, it's coming to about, 18 years?
Sort of.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
On staying at the helm.
It's been a long time.
I can imagine.
And it's been ups and downs, but more ups than downs. And it's been a very joyous and it's been a pleasure to be able to manage the foreign policy of this country. You've
really served. Doesn't it feel like you deserve to be full minister rather than just being state minister for all these years?
It makes no difference. What is important is not the title. What's important is the office bearer. And what the office bearer does with the office, it also reflects in the office. You can have a very big office, we can have as many staff as possible, but if the minister is not up to it, then it will not be reflective of that office. So I am not bothered, I don't lose sleep while being Minister of State. I've enjoyed it and I've done a fantastic job, and the office is known, my performance is known worldwide.
Okay, great. But how do you even run this office without a national foreign policy? Does Uganda have a foreign policy that really regulates how we interact with other nations?
We're very clear. There's no doubt about Uganda's foreign policy. The problem with some people is that they think that foreign policy has to be cast in stone or written as kind of paper that you are writing right there, right in front of you, or put in some documents as others. The British Constitution is not written. The British Constitution is unwritten. And Britain has been around for thousands of years without a constitution. So why do you think Uganda cannot run its foreign policy without its foreign policy written on a document paper?
So you're proud that the country does not have a foreign policy document?
That is why we have done so well. In the region, we are an island or an oasis. We are a region that moves things in this region. And we are very big movers in the region and in Africa.
Without a foreign policy document. So what guides your foreign interactions with other countries if there is no foreign policy?
We have our head of state, President Museveni, who has been in government consistently all these years. Okay, he's the fountain of foreign policy, and there he knows and runs this country and guides us on how to move on every occasion, how we should manage the foreign policy of this country.
Honorable Okello Oryem,
for that matter, we've done very well.
Honorable Okello Oryem, so you're saying Uganda's foreign policy is President Yoweri Museveni?
I'm not saying it's managed and guided by him.
Without a guiding...
Just like the foreign policy... Are you telling me that the constitution of the United Kingdom is the Prime Minister of UK?
He may not be, but you just told me that...
Because you see, you who worship these foreign countries, when we highlight you and educate you on how other countries run, these white countries, you can run their issues in something similar like us, you think we Africans are incapable of doing things in a similar manner like white people. The United Kingdom does not have a written constitution, and it's done very well for that matter. We have no quarrel with it. So Uganda is doing very well. Unless you are asleep or you're not in this country or enemy of this country, you are very aware that we're doing very firm and very well in our foreign policy in this region. We run things in this region and run things beyond.
Honorable Okello, does that justify that the country has no foreign policy document?
Well, why insist on the document? What difference will it make on the document when we do a good job?
What happens if President Museveni dies?
Then the president that comes, if he so feels that there should be a written policy, we'll do a foreign policy. They'll put in a document.
For now, your government doesn't think that it's necessary to have a foreign policy document?
We're not going to sleep over it. We're doing very well without it. Have you any doubt about it?
Aren't we just sleepwalking into things?
And you proud about what Uganda is doing?
Well, yeah, we've done some bits well, but I mean, without any...
Very well. Don't say half, very well. We are doing so well in Somalia. We are doing so well in the United Nations. We are doing so well in the DRC. We are doing so well in the Eastern Community. We are managing Pan-Africans in Africa. So will you tell me what are we...
Isn't that micromanaging the country in your hands? When the president thinks that we have to be in Somalia...
It is not micromanaging. He is the president of the Republic of Uganda, just like other head of states who manage a foreign policy for their countries. President Museveni also managed the foreign policy of his countries and the defense of this country.
But he is the foreign policy because there's no foreign policy document.
It's not the foreign policy. It's not a foreign policy.
Then how do you run foreign policy without a policy?
How have we managed? If I may ask you, how have we managed?
Maybe you just get into the boardroom with
How?
the president and think and
How
say, okay,
have
let's
we
do
managed?
this.
It's not. And how we done so well, for that matter.
Is it a yardstick that we need to follow, really?
We asked the British government whether it's a yardstick to follow their constitution, which had written.
Honorable Okello, if you woke up tomorrow and you're not in this office anymore, and someone else is in that office, and there is no foreign policy that is supposed to guide him, and
There is a new Minister of Foreign Affairs called J.J. Odong. There is a new Minister of Regional Cooperation called Honorable John Mulimba. Since Sam Kutesa went, and it's been business, continuous business, seamlessly. And we have been doing very well since then, with uninterrupted any matter. Have you seen any interruption in how we manage our foreign policy since Kutesa went? Have you seen any interruption in how we manage our regional cooperation policies, foreign policies we manage? I doubt. If he is, tell me now.
So you're proud that
the
country is doing well.
We are doing
I don't care if there is no foreign policy document. We are doing
very well. We are doing very well. And we are very proud of doing very well. And I'm very proud to have President Museveni, who is the fountain of foreign policy in this country, because he has put Uganda in a position which has never been matched.
Doesn't that therefore make it difficult, because then the country is run by the president on his decisions?
Difficult on who?
I'll give you an example. The
Difficult
president
who?
sent troops in South Sudan without authorization of parliament.
Yes,
you know
of course.
why?
Why not?
Because it's the foreign policy.
No. Well, in hot pursuit. There's a principle of hot pursuit. We went to South Sudan on the principle of hot pursuit. We went on that is the principle of how we went to South Sudan. Why is it being questioned in Parliament?
Because they have to be...
Hot pursuit. Do your homework. The principle of hot pursuit allows us, if the security of Uganda is threatened at any one time, do you mean the president of Uganda should wait for Parliament to debate, Mr. Speaker, and so on and so forth for 2-3 days, while already the enemy is reached Karuma? Come on, please.
But there must be instructions,
What?
even when you're supposed to break that law.
What instructions? You tell me what the instructions are.
You see, that's why I'm
You
saying that the absence of
educate me from your position.
That's why I'm saying...
You are asking the question.
That's why I'm saying, Honorable Okello, that without a guiding document, that this is how things should be done.
The principle is very clear. I'm telling you the principle of hot pursuit. Google it and you'll find it there. Very clear. There's no issue about it. We went there in a situation which needed us to respond immediately. We responded immediately. And we did a very good about it. The international community appreciated. The South Sudan appreciated. We stopped a situation where there would have been a bloodbath in South Sudan. Had we not intervened at the right time and immediately.
I'll take it from you that
we are doing very well.
That we're doing very well even without a foreign.
We are doing very well, and you know it, Solomon. Don't deny it. You should be praising us.
Let's talk about our. Okay, largely we are praised for being the big brother in the region and to protect, security, to maintain security in the region. We have
leading Pan-Africanism and leading federation within Eastern community.
We had
being the country that leads. Okay, how issues and international policies and what you might call the world order is managed in this region.
Great. So we have boots on ground in Somalia. We have soldiers in Congo. We have even dedicated some soldiers, SFC, to guard some people elsewhere. We had boots on ground in South Sudan. Let's look at the investment of men in uniform, the investment that Uganda has had by sending our troops abroad in foreign missions. What has been the return on that investment, especially economically? We have pacified Somalia. We have the largest contingent there. How much do we trade? What is our export to import ratio? I believe that our investment in terms of our regional peacekeeping missions should be juxtaposed by our economic returns.
That is not the case. You see, the perception of Uganda's might to be able to be in all these countries you have called attracts investors who know that Uganda is the one country that if they put their investment in, the investment is secured and not disturbed, because Uganda has an army that can not only defend within its territories, can defend beyond. As a result, that even after COVID, Uganda's economy continues to grow rather than to be suffering like other countries. Is the reason why we have one of the highest attractors of foreign investment in Uganda than any other country in this region, because money doesn't like noise, money doesn't like confusion, and investors know that if you invest in Uganda, we have the capacity to ensure there is total security and there is no interruption whatever because of the capacity of our army.
How about if we flip the coin and say that where we have pacified the region, other countries are taking advantage? Kenya, for example, is actually going big in South Sudan and indeed in Somalia. If you look at the export there, Kenyans are taking to these countries where we have pacified the region, created peace, other countries are taking advantage. And I think that it's in your docket to actually ensure that the return on investment...
Well, that's not investment. Who said it's investment?
We've invested.
Who said it's investment?
Ugandan soldiers have shed blood on the front line in Somalia. It's an investment.
It's not. What you invest to make profit. That's not investment. Who said it's investment? We never said investment. I don't know who told you it's investment. We are extending the Pan-African spirit of ensuring that there's peace and security in the region within the Pan-African spirit. In the same manner the Tanzanians did to Ugandans in 1978 and 79 in removing Idi Amin. When the Tanzanians helped us to remove Idi Amin with the resources and soldiers doing their lives for Uganda, it was not an investment. It was the spirit of Pan-Africanism through President Nyerere. And that is the same spirit that we do here, but we don't call it investment.
So you don't think that the country needs to work hard to ensure
but because of our Pan-Africanism, because of those activities of Pan-Africanism, it gives confidence to investors to think that this is the country to be in, rather than those countries who we have to go and rescue.
Wow. Okay. Let's then bring it, since we are talking about boots on ground. You believe in Pan-Africanism. You believe
in federalism.
Federalism. And let's talk about what's happening. The global conversation is on the Russia-Ukrainian crisis, or Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Uganda clearly, at the UN, decided to stay on the fence and abstain from voting against that invasion. Do you still maintain that?
That's nothing new. We abstain on many things in the UN. That's not the first time Uganda has abstained. People might think that's the first time Uganda abstained in the UN. No. We abstained on so many things. And we maintain our position we took in abstaining on that vote, and we do not apologize to anybody for that position. That's the position we took. It is very critical that we do not be promoters of war. We don't be warmongers. Rather, we should be promoters of peace and utilizing the opportunity for negotiations for resolving wars, rather than being those parties who promote wars, promote destructions, and promote deaths.
You see what I find very unfair? Under the same spirit, President Oryem Okello sent troops to fight against Riek Machar, who was attacking a sovereign state.
Defense.
President Oryem Okello sent troops in Somalia to fight against the Al-Shabaab
terrorists.
We having Russia evading a sovereign state by taking its boot on ground, and you'd expect that the Ugandan government, under the same spirit of defending and protecting sovereignty...
Don't be the voice of Western propaganda.
I am just asking
Solomon,
questions.
please, don't be a voice of Western propaganda. You are hearing one side of the story, you're not saying the other side of the story. So that is why we are neutral, because we are informed of what's happening in Russia, we are what's happening in Ukraine. If you know the history of that region, you will not be a propaganda of the West here. And I feel sorry for you really to propagate the position of the West, rather than respecting our position, okay, and being neutral in this case, and letting those Western countries resolve the issues.
On Okello, Russia attacked a sovereign state. They have boots on ground.
United States attacked Libya. France attacked Libya. You never came to interview me.
What did the president say?
Who?
Museveni. He was against it. He's on record.
Of course he was
against it.
He was against it. But why did you come and ask me at that time about the same question? But now when Russia goes to do its things in Ukraine, you are jumping up and waving your arms. When they went to Afghanistan, without a UN mandate. You never came to talk to us. Now all of a sudden, feathers are being ruffled.
Isn't it though that you're looking at Uganda's interests versus what's happening in Ukraine? I mean, before we know it, Lavrov was here and he was at State House with President Museveni.
The Undersecretary of State for who is the United States ambassador to the UN was also here. So
Greenfield.
yeah, she was here.
She was here.
Yeah, so we wanted both of them. So what's the problem?
Do we also want to say that there is a deep relationship between Russia and the party in power, Lavrov and his envoy?
We have an historical, Africa has a historical relationship with the Soviet Union, by the way, because they helped Africa in the liberation and the freedom of Southern African countries which needed to be liberated. We have a historical relationship with the United States that go far back many years, okay? Because they've helped us along the way, in particularly recently, they helped us in fighting LRA, they helped us against fighting terrorism, they helped us a lot with capacity building in our army. Hello? So what's that problem being asking that in this war, we urge the parties to engage in diplomatic dialogue in resolving this conflict rather than continuing the war. Just like the ironic thing is, yesterday I was watching when the United States Undersecretary, Blinken,
Yeah.
Blinken urging Israel and the Lebanese to cease fire and stop the conflict, and even the European president saying the same. But why do they say the same for the ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine? What is good for the gander? What's good for the goose is also good for the gander. Don't you think so? So if they're saying that the war in the Middle East should cease and they should find an amicable way of solving it, why do they also say the same for Ukraine and Russia? That's why in Uganda's position is very clear. Whereas we say that Russia and Ukraine should find a diplomatic solution to the conflict, we also say to Israel and the Lebanese to find a diplomatic solution to the problem.
Wow. So Uganda still maintains that it still remains
Absolutely
neutral.
without apology.
Are you pleased with what's happening in Ukraine? Honorable Okello.
I'm not pleased with any war. Any war, I'm not. That's why we took a neutral position. We are not happy with whatever war it is. That's why we're not happy with the war going on in the Middle East. We're not happy with the war going on in that area. We think that people should engage and find a solution to their conflict rather than fighting. So it's not a question that are you happy what's going on in Ukraine. That is echoing the Western press way of putting this war to others. And I feel sorry for you that you're the voice of the West.
You might you might call it propaganda, but the truth is the sovereign state was attacked.
I don't know whether it was attacked, but it is more complex than just being attacked. You have to understand the history of the geopolitics of that region. And you have to know what the world order stood for. You understand that at the time when the Soviet Union collapsed, I hope you. I can tell the long story. But I have to educate you on this matter because you don't understand this issue.
I hear
it might be too complex for you to understand.
One of the reasons
that is why we abstain in the UN because it's too complex for you to understand.
One of the reasons why the UN was formed is largely one to protect the territorial integrity of a country.
Yeah, and have you had the UN talk on this matter?
The UN asked you and you abstained.
When was the last time the Secretary General commented on the war in Ukraine?
He has been doing
When? Quote me, tell me the date, tell me.
Antonio Guterres has come out strongly.
Tell me. Say, strongly on what?
On the war. He has spoken out and condemned it.
Tell me what it is.
Well,
should he be condemning or should he be urging the parties continuously to please find a political solution?
When he came to you, you abstained.
But shouldn't he? It's not my job to be here there. It's his job every day when he wakes up and looks in the mirror to urge those parties, okay, to immediately cease fire and to immediately sit on a discussion table. That's his job. Otherwise, he shouldn't be on that holding that job. Everyone wakes up and looks in the mirror and says there's an ongoing war in Lebanon with Israel. He should urge them to cease fire. Whenever there's war and conflict, does he do that? It's the UN.
Interesting. Honorable Oryem, from this conversation, I take it that Uganda maintains its position of...
Absolutely, absolutely, and we still urge the parties to find a amicable solution to the ongoing conflict so that both parties can live side by side in peace.
All right, let's talk about the concerns by many Ugandans who are out there, especially in the Middle East, who don't think like the country cares about them, especially in the Middle East, that is the Gulf region. There've been concerns about the reactions on, labor externalization. Government is shouting out on the remittances that are coming into the country, while we see our girls leaving Uganda to go abroad. They are tortured, some of them. I mean, we've had horrendous stories.
Why do they keep going?
But you have to care because they...
Why do they keep going?
Because you have failed them. You're not giving them jobs as a government.
Why do they keep going?
Because they don't have what to do.
Yes, but why do you keep...
And it's a job of the government to provide employment.
But not to protect them in their homes, where they go and serve. The government cannot be able the homes to protect them. That's why you should not go in the first place.
But you have failed them. You're not giving them jobs as government.
We have not failed them.
The people who go outside...
There is a lot of opportunity in Uganda if you so look for. This Uganda is gifted with miles and miles of land which everybody can tilt, and miles of land for people to farm, and so many other opportunities to look for. The only solution to unemployment in Uganda is not Saudi Arabia. And if the girls so know that there is danger in Saudi Arabia, why do they go there?
Because they have failed.
Do they have to?
Because you have failed them.
Then if you choose go, they go voluntarily, knowing that there's a possibility that they will be in danger. They shouldn't be going there.
But you have embassies there to protect them. They're Ugandans.
It is not that. It is. We only give consular services, not do protection. Who said the embassy is supposed to protect people? If I may say,
the embassy is supposed to look out for Ugandans. Protect could be part of it.
How?
I mean, if an American is in trouble, what will happen?
They'll get consular services. The Americans don't send troops to protect them in homes here.
They don't send troops, but
they do what?
They do something to ensure that they are citizens.
Give me an example.
I mean,
give me an example.
The basketball player who was arrested in Russia.
What did they do?
What happened? They exchanged.
They did what?
They did exchange a top Russian prisoner with him. And it was a concern because they had to bring them back home. What I'm trying to drive at, Honorable Okello, is that
my advice,
Foreign Affairs has the responsibility
let me advise you.
On protecting Ugandans
let me tell you my
in
position.
the Middle East.
My advice is anybody who so chooses to go in this place, my advice is don't go. Because the expectations are too high as to what the government of Uganda can do. And Uganda government doesn't have the capacity. Your expectations are too high that if you get into problems, we will jump into action, a SWAT team will come, pick you up, and buy a business class ticket and bring you in. It won't happen. My advice to every single girl, you know the stories, you know what's happening there, stay at home.
So what you're saying is that you're on your own. What you're telling Ugandans is that you're on your own.
That's what I'm telling you. That's what have I told you just now? Shall I repeat it? You have heard those stories, you girls. You know what is alleged to be happening there. So rather than taking the risk, stay at home. Because your expectations are too high as to what the government of Uganda can and those embassies can do and give you, which you don't have the capacity, unfortunately. So rather than put yourself in that position, stay at home.
You have 640,000 girls who left the country, according to the Civil Aviation Authority, to go into the Gulf. Those numbers could even be bigger. The more reason for your government to take note that we have so many Ugandans living in this region, and therefore we have to keep our eyes and ears on the ground.
We do everything possible to ensure that every Ugandan that needs assistance, what you call consular advice and assistance, we give them consular advice within the means of our missions, but not to their expectations or imaginations.
So all you do is advise?
Advise, direct, assist in some cases by giving them some little money or whatever within our means.
You heard of what was happening to those girls. What did you do as a government?
We have protested over and over again. And we made it very clear that it's unacceptable by this government for what's being done to the citizens. It's on record. You can get to the PS and you find numerous protests. But at the same time, we advise those girls that in light of the situation there, just like Americans give advice, or the British give travel advice. They give the citizens, don't travel this country, don't travel. Don't they give that on many occasions? That's what I'm saying also. Please.
Honorable Okello, you sit in a position of power to negotiate better for this government, especially with the Gulf. And those should come on the negotiating table in terms of bilaterals between the two countries.
If as it seems that it seems not to be working as it is, then please take my advice as I have told you now. Why don't you want to listen to my advice?
Well, I'm listening, but
why insisting that in spite of my advice, you said, of holding a powerful office, you don't want this? So if you don't listen to my advice, then that is the risk you're ready to take.
There are ongoing negotiations of improving bilateral relationships between the Gulf and Uganda. Maybe we could have conversations to renegotiate.
Listen, Solomon. We are talking the things that happen in individual homes. We are talking of things that happen 100,000 homes. Who has the capacity to monitor what happened in 100,000 homes, or 600,000 homes, or 500,000 homes, as you said? Even the Saudi Arabian government has not got the capacity. And you cannot pass laws in any country to manage affairs, domestic affairs in a house.
But do these girls reach out to you as an embassy in the Gulf region?
You see, the responsibility of these girls should be actually the responsibility of the companies that take them there, not the responsibility of government. Because within the terms of taking them there, it is clear that if and when they want to withdraw, those companies should be able to bring them back. And you're an investigative journalist. I would urge you, at the next opportunity, to investigate these companies, why they're defaulting, or why they should not be struck off for failing to perform or hold their part of the contract.
You see, you're trying to run away from responsibility.
I don't.
If I am stuck in London and I raise a red flag to the embassy in Uganda that I'm stuck, and I make a communication, it is the responsibility of my government through the embassy to come to my rescue.
We will.
Then why is it being done in the UAE?
We will. We give them counsel advice. We tell them to get in touch with their companies. We inform their companies that this girl is stuck. She's a problem. You should bring them back. We advise them that if they need legal counsel, there's opportunity for legal counsel here and there. But what we don't give out is cash. We don't have the capacity to give everybody cash who comes. And if you're stuck in London, I'm not going to give you cash. The most I will give you is assistance and directive on how to handle and get out of your situation.
You've visited different embassies in different countries, and you agree with me that some of them are in very dilapidated state. In fact, the state of our embassies abroad, there's a report that Parliament released, and they really bolded that many of our embassies are in bad shape. I was in Nairobi the other day. Have you been at the embassy in Nairobi? Just Nairobi here. Look at the reception area. I looked at the roof. I couldn't believe what was happening. You know that many of the embassy buildings are not in good shape. Also, it was an observation by the ministry, by members of parliament who were going across
Did they name
last year.
Did they name which ones?
Well, in the report, I think they do. They do. But you know this. You've been there.
I don't know it.
Are you...
Have you been to New York?
Well, yes, I've been to New York.
Amazing.
Have
you seen the amazing work with the New York?
But who actually came up with that Uganda house?
Have you been to London?
Yes, I know, but who came up with that?
Have you seen the renovation?
Amin did the London house, the London.
It is responsibility.
Obote did the.
It's responsibility.
Obote did the New York house, Uganda house.
Solomon, you are embarrassment. When President Museveni leaves, okay, the road from Gulu to Kitgum, the thousands of miles that has been built by this government. We'll send someone to build them.
Yes, we do.
When you're in office, you have a responsibility to do something.
I hear you, but
so what if I mean built
I
it?
hear you, but what has
So what?
has your regime added on any embassies that have been built?
So what we are building we build a brand new embassy in Rwanda. Have you been to Rwanda?
I have.
Have you seen the
They
embassy
gave you land in China. Have you constructed an embassy there in Beijing?
Have you seen what we're building in Guangzhou? Have you seen what's going on in Guangzhou? Have you seen what is in Burundi? So please, come on. We only build as we need. Not as, we don't build over capacity if we cannot afford. So and let me tell you something, you people. We deal with priorities in this government. Okay? The priority in this government has been to build the foundation of this country, to be a self-sustaining economy, where we are a manufacturing country, where we are independent of importing and relying on foreign donors. And once we have attained that minimum stage, then we'll be able to go for what we consider other necessities. So you cannot do everything in one go. You see, you have to prioritize at what is the most urgent things to deal with. And that's why the NRM government goes stage by stage by stage. Yesterday, that's the day before yesterday, the Chief Justice said he wanted more money for the judiciary. The President said there will be no money for the judiciary. They should work within their means. Why? Because we have other priorities that we need to address. Our budget now cannot meet all these requirements. And our program here within the ministry is to try and see how we can deal with 3 missions every 3 years to make sure it's upgraded, it is renovated, and it's brought up to date, rather than spending money all over the place and then you do nothing. Go to Brussels and you see our office, our mission in Brussels, and come back and tell me about it, how it renovated. 2 years ago, you would say, I'll agree it was shambles. Go and see how it is now renovated. Top class. Because we do it stage by stage by stage. Even those ones which you're talking about will be dealt with. But we need to prioritize and work within our pocket.
Because it quite reflects badly on our embassies. I mean, when you see people coming into our embassies and they have broken roofs, they're dilapidated, it's an embarrassment. It's an embarrassment.
People come here to Uganda. When they reach the clock tower, they see coffin makers. They go through that place, that slum called whatever it is. Have it stopped them from coming to Uganda? Has it?
No.
Has it stopped tourists? Our tourist numbers are increasing. But the first thing they see is coffin makers. What's this place called? Katwe or something. You also drive through Katwe. And they're fascinated. The tourists are fascinated and they keep coming. Has it stopped them from coming?
But it reflects bad on our image when they get into embassies, which
But has it stopped tourists going there to take visas? It is you, the African, who complains about everything. But those people who come, they don't. It is not the image of the mission. It's what the mission can deliver. It's how they are received.
It's part of
how it can be delivered. That's what's important.
Honorable Okello, it's your job to lobby that your embassies abroad are all rehabilitated.
It will be done. It will be done once the financial envelope allows. Yes, it will be allowed. We are not in a rush.
Let's have our last.
We have priorities for this country that we need to deal with, and we are ready to ensure that those priorities are dealt with first.
And rehabilitation of embassies is not part of it.
It will reach there. But it's nothing for us to say that we cannot continue managing our foreign policy, we cannot continue promoting investment, we cannot promote tourism. We are doing it. That's why you see increased tourism.
Okay, let's talk about appointment of ambassadors. What we have seen the president do is appoint political failures into positions of ambassadors. And yet through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you've had people who have grown through the ranks to become celebrated diplomats to a level of minister council. But when the president is appointing, ambassadors, does he even consult you?
He does.
And you give green lights to appointment of ambassadors?
Of course. Why not? Why? Is there anything strange in political appointees being appointed?
When you have career diplomats, you have groomed.
Is there anything strange?
Who you have groomed through?
But is there anything strange? Even the United States government, United States government, most of their ambassadors are political appointees, for information, if you don't know it.
Honorable
Okay?
Okello, you've groomed people
Listen. United States government, which people adore so much, okay? They have political appointees in many offices. United Kingdom appoint political appointees. Which country does not put political appointees? Please. In Kenya here, they put political appointees. So it's nothing new. It's only it seems only in Uganda they're ignorant.
That doesn't make it right to appoint political.
But it's nothing new.
Political appointees
it's been a practice,
who may not do the job that you're supposed to do.
It's been a practice going on forever. It's been a practice going on forever.
It looks like a reward rather than actually dealing with foreign affairs issues.
There was an ambassador in London who was a political appointee, was an Asian, but appointed by Milton Obote. Agria Wari was in the UN. He was a political appointee. Olaro Tunu was at the UN. He did a fantastic job. He was a political appointee by Obote. So what are we talking about?
What I'm saying, Honorable Okello, is that through this Ministry of Foreign Affairs, you've groomed people who have grown through the ranks to be career diplomats who perhaps deserve to actually be appointed as ambassadors because they can run the embassies better and even represent our vision and mission in those different embassies, rather than just waking up to get MPs who failed in their elections and actually appointing them ministers.
Who told you that they can run the mission better? Who told you? Let me tell you, a politically astute individual which has been exposed to international politics and international affairs is better than a civil servant who has been around pushing papers in, papers out. That's why the world over, in strategic missions, in many countries, you make sure you have an astute, confirmed, sharp political appointee who knows how to address matters. Nothing new. Historically, it's been the case. It seems that in Uganda, people don't know about it. Do your homework. You'll find out. It won't take you long. Just look at the neighborhood here and see how many political appointees Kenya has, Tanzania has, before we go to the United States of America. The DRC has. Is it new in Uganda? Why is it a problem in Uganda?
Well, I've been speaking to the Honorable Okello, Foreign Affairs Minister in charge of international affairs, speaking to us about Uganda's foreign policy and what the country is doing to really stay afloat globally. I'm Solomon Serwanjja, and this is The Hard Questions.